Yo, yo, yo. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Welcome on in to Michael's Mind, Philly Sports Pod, where we deliver daily Sixers news, rumors, trades, you name it, I got it. Now let's deep dive into this video, all right? All right, guys. Welcome on in. Thanks for joining. So this video, what we're going to be talking really about is the Sixers off-season plans. We're going to talk about the roster a good amount, about from 2024-25 to 25-26 next year. And yeah, so why don't we just get right into it off the bat. One of the main things you're going to see as a reoccurrence on this channel is my mindset about Embiid and Paul George. And then, honestly, really, it's more so about Embiid. What I want to say is, in my opinion, Sixers should be done ring chasing right now. I know that is not really what you guys want to hear. It's not really what I want to hear or watch for the next 3 to 4 years. But yeah, so essentially, all of this ring chasing and retooling the team around Embiid, who, for 10 years really hasn't brought us much except for headaches. And I don't mean it like that. Obviously, there were amazing memories with Embiid. He's had an amazing career. I mean, he won an MVP. And let's be honest, he probably should have won a couple more MVPs. However, his health has always been an issue. And when it seems to really matter the most, he's not available. Whether it's an elbow to the orbital socket, or however it ends up happening, he's not there. So I don't want to continue to rely on him, and I just don't see us competing with him. And when you take a look at other rosters, no team in the past couple years has won a championship with the style of play that we've tried to force, meaning a large, dominant big. The only team you could say is the Nuggets, but even Jokic, he's not. It's not the style of play that Embiid plays, and I think Embiid was at his best when he started to really assist the ball, pass out of the double teams. But that we could talk about in a whole other video, because I just wanted to get you guys to know my mindset and where this video is going ahead of it, because I just don't see us realistically competing with Embiid any longer. Now, unfortunately, this is my mindset, and I don't think it's Daryl Morey's. And like I said, this video, for all intents and purposes, is under the assumption that we are moving on from competing with Embiid and trying to actually build a different core and go in a different direction. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get into the roster from last year and the turnover that's going to be coming into 2025-26. So Embiid, obviously he's here. We don't know how many games he's going to play. We don't know how he's going to come back from the surgery that he had. So we'll just leave that where it is, because he's here for a couple more years. Now we'll move down to Pinky P. We all know who Pinky P is, so I don't even need to say his name. He's going to be free agent in 2028. So that's at least, 3 years down the line. We're going to be paying him $52 million a year. Definitely less than ideal, and in my opinion, should have had Daryl Morey fired for trying to do this yet again. We just got off the Tobias, cap-strung, horrible mess to just jump right into another one with somebody who's actually older and more along the lines of Embiid in terms of injury prone. And we experienced that all last season. So moving down from Pinky P, and by the way, with those two guys, I really don't see us trading out of their contracts in this scenario, because it's just going to cost more than what you're going to end up getting in return, and for what? At this point, we're better off keeping these guys on the roster, paying them out, and then focusing on the developmental process of other players, like Maxey, for instance. Free agent in 2029. He is allocating a good portion of the cap space too, but it's not in the way that Embiid and Pinky P are, in terms of are they ever going to play or what? What's going to happen with them? So Maxey is at a 37.9, we'll just say 38, $38 million a year, roughly. And I actually really like that contract for him. Just because, it's the developmental years. And like I said, in these next like 3 to 4 years is where we're going to find out a lot more about Maxey, in my opinion. He's going to be reaching into the prime of his career, and we're going to see if it's beneficial for him to be a part of this thing for real, or if we are going to be having to move on from him. And the reason I say that is because in hindsight, where we are now, we probably should have moved on from Embiid a while ago and gotten the biggest haul we could have. I compare it to Rudy Gobert when he was traded. 5 first-round picks. Are you kidding me? Anyhow, Maxey, huge part of this future. McCain as well. I believe he can be a huge part of this future, barring he buys into the sixth man role, where a lot of people don't, they undervalue the importance of a sixth man coming off the bench, and McCain, in my eyes, could be that sixth man juice injector off the bench, who still gets real close to starter minutes, even though he's the sixth man. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. I want to keep going down this roster. So we go into Kelly Oubre Jr. He's on a player option set to make $8.4 million. And he can opt into that. I don't see a world where he doesn't, because I don't see a team who's going to value him at higher than that. The only way I don't see him opting into that is if he wants longevity. Team wants to offer him another deal with like a couple million off of the 8 mark, 8.4. And he just wants longevity, because he's at the point in his career where he'll likely be signing one of the last more lucrative deals in his at his age and where he's at in his career. So if he wants to go longevity and get maybe like $5 million somewhere over the course of 2-3 years elsewhere, I could see him doing that. However, I don't know if he opts in, it's really not the end of the world. He opts in and then he's gone after that. And like I was saying, on this timeline, it doesn't really matter in the long run. The only reason I would like to get off of that deal and get the books or get the money off the books, clear it up, is because it really gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of, and we're going to get into it later, but in terms of signing somebody like Justin Edwards to a long-term deal. But yeah, so moving on down to Drummond. Drummond is on a player option as well for $500,000. I don't see his value anywhere more than that. He's pretty old. He's run down. I don't mean that in any rude way. It's just that no other teams are going to pay him more than that. So he's probably going to opt in. And that's okay too. Similar to Kelly Oubre, we're not competing in this model for the next couple years. So, you need a body for next year, and that's really cheap for a backup center. And I say backup because in this model, we're not looking for Embiid to be playing. I don't really expect him to play more than like 35, 40 games the next season. But yeah, so Drummond's a body. You're going to be rotating him around with Dembona. I really love a Dembona, by the way, and we're going to get into that. So now we're going to move down. We talked about Jared McCain already, so we don't need to get into that. I will say, though, he's on his rookie deal until 2029. That is a little stressful in terms of how it matches up with Maxey's next extension, because you don't want to get too cap-strung paying guys at the same position, especially two undersized guards. But like I said, we'll get into that at a later date. Moving down now to Eric Gordon. See ya. That's all I got to say about Eric Gordon. I'm not even thanking him, honestly. Goodbye. Lonnie Walker, peace. See you later. And the reason I say peace, see you later is I'd rather have somebody like Dennis Smith Jr., who at least has some upside in terms of defense. Lonnie Walker was just a body we brought in, similar to Jared Butler, who we could just go ahead and get into now. Jared Butler, another reason why I think Morey should be canned and not allowed to try and fix any of these problems that we have, because this was an unnecessary problem. It's really not. Like I say, in these next couple of years, like, we can pay him the $2.3 million that he's going to opt into for sure, because he has a player option of $2.3 million, which I just think is malpractice yet again for the kind of move you wanted to make to bring Jared Butler in, right? So last year we were so far gone from competing, it wasn't happening. So by the time you bring in Jared Butler, it was to pretty much trying to get that draft pick as low as possible to ensure, to some degree, keeping that pick, which we did. Luckily, that's like really nice. But yeah, so you bring him in, and I'm telling you that this is the reason why he was traded off of that contract. Comes in, and no other team wanted to pay that guy $2.3 million on a player option. So obviously nobody else is going to trade for him but Daryl Morey. Yeah, so you bring him in. I mean, now we're set to pay him because he's opting in. I'm telling you, he's going to opt in. There is no world where he gets another contract like this ever. So he's going to opt in, get that money, and maybe we can, trade him. Maybe if you want, by the way, go back up to Kelly Oubre, if you wanted to try and have him opt in and then you want to do a sign and trade elsewhere, you can sweeten it up with somebody like Jared Butler. But like I said, I doubt that's going to happen. But yeah, so Jared Butler is not the guy. If you're stuck with him next year, it's all right, because like I said, after that, off the books. And it's like essentially the same difference, because I don't see us competing next year. Moving down from Jared Butler, though, we have Ricky Council, who's under contract until 26-27. He's set to make $2.2 million this coming year, 25-26. He's another guy, a body. Like I said, I see Ricky Council as just a way underdeveloped and not as polished Kelly Oubre. They play with the same reckless abandonment. If Ricky Council can learn to get a little more control over that, then he's essentially a Kelly Oubre that you're paying $5 million less for. So I would be fine with keeping Ricky Council. A lot of people don't see that happening. The only deal with that is if you waive him now, you're paying him $2.2 million, and he's just not going to play for you. So another mismanaged cap scenario that we're talking about with Daryl Morey. However, if you let him play out and then you waive him by January 10th of next year, that $2.4 million that he would make in 26-27 is completely off the books. So that would be good if you want to just see how he's developing a little bit. And if you like him, keep him. The $2.4 million is cheap for a guy like we're talking about, who essentially is a Kelly Oubre-like guy. High energy, reckless abandonment. But yeah, so hold on to him, and then if you don't like what you see, waive him, eat that 2.2, which you already paid him for half a season essentially, and then he's gone. He's off your books next year. That's fine. Moving down now to Justin Edwards. It's been reported that he is heavily interested in inking a deal with the Sixers, and the Sixers are obviously interested right back. I know I've been talking pretty poorly about Daryl Morey, but this was definitely a good move by him. You're able to bring in a guy like him, undrafted, in a year where we really were feeling the pain of all of these trades to retool for Embiid. We didn't have any picks, really. And you're able to find a guy like him in the undrafted pool. Like, I got to give Morey his props when he does something nice. Now it's all about how can we retain him and develop him. So we'll see how that all goes. I'm really hoping they can ink a deal with him because I really like him a lot. Now we go down to Adem Bona, under contract until 2028 on his rookie deal. Super, super cheap, high energy guy who, in the worst case, is coming off your bench to set screens, and you're not losing too much defensive prowess in the paint when he comes on with those lengthy arms, as they say. I love him as a shot blocker, and I love him as a rim runner. I mean, If Maxey and McCain, I mean, McCain we already saw was throwing lobs out the wazoo until he was unfortunately caught the Sixers rookie bug, which seems to happen every year, where he gets injured, out for the rest of the season. And then, we want Maxey to develop a little more in the playmaking side, but, like, even if he doesn't, you're taking that screen and maybe he gets that mid-range, a lethal mid-range like SGA has, which would really take him over the top. We've seen a little mid-range action from Maxey, by the way, throughout his career. Last year, though, it kind of dipped down. He wasn't shooting nearly as many shots. Anyhow, Adembona, love that guy. Going to keep him around for sure. Now we're going to get into the cap holds, which, we have to take care of the cap holds before we can go ahead and make any other moves on our roster. You just have to. It's the rules. Quentin Grimes. So I'm actually going to pull up on the screen here where you guys are going to be able to see his shot chart from his rookie year with the Knicks and moving on to the Mavericks, then moving on to the Sixers. And you guys are going to see what I'm about to say. If you look at the green and the red in there, where he's taking shots from and everything, and the percentages and everything like that, just keep that in mind. He is the same exact player that he was on the Knicks, on the Mavericks. The only thing that you're going to see is more of these green and red dots, which is just volume. His volume's increasing, and actually, as you look at his volume increasing, and you look at these pictures across the all these shot charts, you're gonna watch that percentage actually dip down, and then dip down, and dip down even further. So, I don't know in what world we want to retain him and pay him over $10 million a year for that. I mean, like, I'm so out on Quentin Grimes. I used to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe we got to keep him. Like, after doing a lot of research and seeing these charts, I don't know how we can do it. I just don't see us going for him. You can't pay a guy like that just for the defense, and now you can switch around when we can literally go ahead and pay somebody like Dennis Smith Jr. a fraction of that cost. And he's going to be pretty much the same guy with less offensive potential. But, that's what I'm trying to say is with Quentin Grimes, like, we see these charts, and, like, in a world where Quentin Grimes is on a championship roster, whomever it is, he is not taking nearly as many shots as he is in this chart, which is where you're going to see he scored those 30-plus point games and went off and was electric. But he did that also on the Sixers' depleted roster when he's trying to make a name for himself in a contract year. Like, of course he's going to try and go hard like that. I just don't see a world where we can go after Quentin Grimes. Moving down, I'm going to skip over guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino and Jeff Doughton. I mean, Jeff Doughton is too old for any of this action. But we're going to go straight into Guerschon Yabusele. So with Guerschon Yabusele, I'm in this weird gray area with him. I love him, actually. I love the how he bet on himself to get out of the Euro League and had to pay at least like $900,000 out of pocket for an uncertainty in the NBA, especially in the NBA where he was basically blackballed out of. Nobody was going to sign him. They didn't believe in him. And then, bang, he has a good year with the Sixers. And I see him like as a guy that you really know the ceiling. You want him to come off that bench as a stretch four. And I could really see him contributing to a championship roster as that stretch four who comes off the bench and gives you a little juice. I mean, we saw him. There are games where he was shooting a high clip from three. And he can put the ball on the floor a tiny bit. He can set some screens. I like him. He's physical down low, and he's hustler. He's a hustler. So I do like him in that aspect. I just don't see how he would fit this timeline of this, 4 years of developing and rebuilding, essentially. So that's where I'm at with Guerschon Yabusele. I have here, too, you could potentially... sign and trade, maybe, sign him to a deal and then trade him for a good amount of stuff. yeah, I could see that happening. I just don't know about it because, like, where we would want to sign him, I think the Sixers are. It was reported they're somewhere at like 5 mil a year, maybe 5.5 mil, higher end of 5 mil. I just see his market being higher than that. I could see a team who is way down the line more in terms of a championship roster, overpaying for him to just shore up your 4 spot on the bench. So that's where I'm at with Guerschon Yabusele. We're gonna get to the end of this video, but I just want to get in here the Kyle Lowry. Need I say anything about Kyle Lowry and his experience with the Sixers? It was a brutal one, and it just like that's been Kyle Lowry's experience with the Sixers, even when he was not on our team and he was gutting us on the Raptors, and then he comes to us similar to an Al Horford, which he finally gets to us, and he just cannot. He's just not there where he was in his prime. And the only thing I do want to thank Kyle Lowry for is, he definitely helped McCain out and definitely helped Maxey out in terms of really learning the game and just being that veteran presence around them. That's definitely awesome. I know you guys probably saw that Sixers post on social media about National Best Friends Day, and it was a picture of McCain and Lowry. So it would be cool if Lowry could continue to do that part of teaching McCain specifically, especially because of the comparison of size of the two. Yeah, but if you could continue teaching them all off season, you get a whole essentially nice off season of more knowledge that McCain is garnering from him. But I just don't see a world where Kyle Lowry gets another contract anywhere. And I want to say, too, to any other team that wants to sign Kyle Lowry, fire your GM immediately if he does, because you're wasting a roster spot right there. And then before I get to the end of this video, I do want to talk about the cap holds actually do reserve spots for your picks. So we have pick number 3 currently and pick number 35. We don't know who is going to be picked and where, but if we do stay at number 3, you can expect about $11 million a year to be paid out to that number 3 overall pick. That might even be a reason why we trade down. You may, like Daryl Morey may really like Ace Bailey. He may really like whomever at number 3. Problem is, because of his mismanaged cap space, we may have to trade out of that number 3 pick because we can't really pay that 11 mil unless you want to go over the aprons and the luxury tax, which by merit, if we are going to, re-sign all these guys, if all of these guys opt in, we are at our roster that we're owing is at $177 million, which is roughly like 20-something million over your cap space that you're allowed to have. So we're going to be getting into that luxury tax, into the aprons, which is my whole deal, is trying to get as low on those aprons as possible. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys breathe on that. Please hit me down low in the comments. Maybe a like and subscribe. That would be awesome. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. I would love to be engaging with you guys and letting you know further why I'm going down this road with the Sixers. And yeah, just thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm gonna push out more videos. I want to get another video out specifically about these draft picks and who would be the pick of 3, who you could trade down to get if it happens. And yeah, we'll see. But thank you guys again for tuning in. And Michael's Mind is signing out.